Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Cheers to 10 Years of 17 Hats. I am so excited to be joined here by another 17 Hats ambassador and 17 Hats member who's been with us for these full 10 years as we have grown, as she has grown, and she is coming on to share her journey with you and share her wisdom. So Mariette, thank you so much for being with us today. Can you just dive in? Tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, what you do. Go ahead and start it on off.
Sure. And by the way, I love the cheers for 10 years. That's got such a beautiful ring to it. I love it. So a little bit about me. As always, I love the question because it's so hard. Yes, so happy to be here as always. Just love the 17 Hats team. I've known Amanda and part of the 17 Hats team for 10 years. I can't believe it. So I can go back 10 years because I can really go back like 25 years, and that's a long time. So 10 years that I've been with 17 Hats. I have been in business actually since oh goodness. Okay, well, let's go probably closer to 2004. But I've been doing accounting, which is my business, since 1999, professionally. But I was my mom's bookkeeper at 11. So that's why I'm saying we can go way, way back. So I actually started learning about 17 Hats because as an accounting practitioner, I was looking for a solution as a solopreneur, as a solo practitioner. So I met 17 Hats back in 2014, and I started using them in my business. And that was about 6 years already, kind of testing out different solutions because I had a virtual accounting practice at the time. And again, being in business means that you evolve. So I am now a business educator. So I am not even an accountant anymore. So yeah, so that's kind of how I created this magic with 17 Hats. That's what I've been doing and loving technology throughout this entire business experience and knowing how important it was. I was just really happy. I'll never forget in 2014 when I found it and they were advocating for the solopreneur, which has been in my heart ever since I opened my practice. I wanted to focus on micro enterprises and solopreneurs. So that was my niche. That was my area of expertise. And that's who I served for over 20 years. And that's actually who I teach now in my new business journey as an educator, which I started back in 2020. So I'm 4 years into this new entrepreneurial journey. So I guess I'm a baby again.
You're a baby again. You're a baby with experience though, which is amazing. So talk to me a little bit about, I mean, you've gone through it, right? You've been in business for a long time. Your business has shifted. You have done so many different things. Tell me a little bit about that journey, right? So I think this is a big part of business that people are, I don't know if reluctant is the right word, but when you start a business, you never know where you're going to end up. I think that's the magic of it. I think that's what's really appealing with it as well, is that you kind of take life by the horns, for lack of better words, right? And you really drive your own journey and you just don't know what's going to happen. And for some people, it scares the hell out of them. For some people, it's exciting and fun. But I mean, your business has really, from where you started to where you are now, you really have changed in all good ways and have really pivoted and done really cool stuff. Talk to me about that. Talk to me about the mindset of going through that and just riding it and enjoying that ride.
Yeah. And I love how you put that there's like the mystery, or I like to call it the wonder. So I truly believe there's a wonder in business because we can, plan out our business. We can be very logical and left brain in our business. But when it comes to choosing entrepreneurship to build wealth, to feed our families, to provide us our much bigger dreams, and we all call our dreams in different ways, whether it's freedom or flexibility or lifestyle, you have to be very wondrous. You have to be open to envision that these things are possible. Because I have been in business and serving businesses for over 2 decades, there are going to be ups and downs, and the wonder and the dreaming and the curiosity of like, there's got to be a better way. It's truly essential. And I think it doesn't get spoken enough when it comes to business mindset. We have to be open to like, okay, let's just figure it out. Yes, it maybe, it didn't work as well, or we could have done it better. okay, let's go do that debrief because that's super essential to good business. But then let's be wondrous again. Let's be dreamers again. Let's envision how we can do this better. I think that's a huge part of business mindset. But sometimes we just get so drawn on the technical side of business and the logical side of business and in our own technical skills that we forget about the dreaming that is so necessary in business.
You have to dream. I mean, I think that is, dreaming about vision, where you wanna go. I mean, I can put all the technical words around it, right? Vision and mission and brand and blah, blah, blah. But really, it's just about, taking, even if it's 10 minutes once a week, to just, I love to do it. I close my eyes, I actually do it sometimes before I go to sleep, or when I wake up in the morning, or when I can't sleep at night, and just go, "Where is it that we wanna go?" Right? What is it? If I had unlimited number of funds, if I had, just, and I could do anything, what what is it that I would do? And it's so fun because you never know what comes out of it, and sometimes you're like, "Oh, wait, but I can do that." Right? Like, I can actually do that. It's
Well, and I want
so
to say something, Amanda, but I don't want you to lose that. What you said is you like, if money didn't matter, it's so hard to say that because it's like, it's so contradictive of how we think, right? Because money does matter. But if you could just give yourself those 10 minutes that you said and just said, if money didn't matter just for this moment, so I can allow myself to be super open, like, how would I see this differently? Who would I bring in? Who can help me? Will I hire that $10,000 coach? Like, because money doesn't matter just for a moment, right?
money
And
doesn't
so I love
money
that.
doesn't matter, and the how doesn't matter. That's my other thing, especially being a tech company, because it's a lot, you have to build a lot, and there's a lot of developmental work and testing and design and blah, blah, blah. I'm a very technician type person too, like I am. How are we gonna do this? What's the best strategy of doing this? That's where my brain always goes. So I know that about myself. So sometimes when, for me to dream, I have to, like, remove that too. If money doesn't matter and the how doesn't matter.
How does it matter? Well, well, have you ever read the book? And I don't want to look behind me, but I have tons of books. But there's a book that says, not how, but who. And so basically, and I will let you know before so you can put it in the show notes if you'd like to, but it's basically revolving around this concept of if we take out the how and really focus on who can help us, right? And who could be us, like just allowing us just to develop ourselves better. We could become the who to help our businesses, but many times it could be the other person, the collaborator, the partner, the coach, that other human out there that's literally like they've already developed themselves to help us, but we can't see that because we're so worried and focused on the how. Take out the how and ask yourself the who. So it's kind of similar to the why, right? But it puts the human into the calculation, which I love because I want to work with a human,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah,
Absolutely. That's
yeah.
amazing. So, I mean, dreaming is so important. I think it's for business growth, obviously longevity, you have to allow yourself to do it. Another word that I wrote down, it's one of my favorite words as well. I feel like that small businesses, and sometimes we don't even do as well as what we should, but it's debriefing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Don't even get me started, Amanda. That's a whole nother episode.
I know.
Oh my God. I don't know. And that's something because I teach business planning and I always say that the debrief is the most essential part of the entire plan. And they're like, but that happens at the end. I'm like, exactly. So at the end, you went ahead and you launched your plan, you did the essential steps, you ask yourself or your partner, and this is so much better with a partner, right? Your team member, like, how did it go? What could we have done better? What can we improve? And I always love the question, what do we need to just release? Like, it just didn't work. It's not going to work. Right. And so that happens in the debrief. So if you're not doing a debrief, you keep on continuously doing things without really knowing those key questions about what that project was. So, so important.
I think
Yeah.
debriefing after every client interaction is really smart, and it almost allows you, like, it almost allows you to talk to your multiple personalities. And I say that in the nicest ways possible, but, like, you have that, like, gut feeling sometimes, like, this didn't go well and this is the reason, and you kinda shut it down because of ego or vanity or, like, just, self-worth. I mean, there's so many different reasons why we shut that, like, kind of worried voice down or the voice of reality. We have lots of different kind of voices happening sometimes. I think if you are a solopreneur, debriefing with yourself, but allowing those insecurities to come up and allowing those kind of self-worth of like, did I do this correctly? Did I not? And you have that just pragmatic hat on, not the emotional hat on, but you have that pragmatic hat on. And you just allow yourself, again, 5-10 minutes to talk this out with yourself, just process what happened, the goods and the bads. That adds so much value to your business as far as business growth because you're going to change things for the better. I think people don't change, which is why they never grow.
Yeah, or why they give up. You know, it's like again that they don't give themselves. So during that debrief, also, like you kind of have, I not you kind of, but I believe that there is a wondrous part to towards the end. So like, let's say it was a debrief and you're like, God, there's like a lot of negativity, you know, like didn't go right, all of these things. But then go back to your wonder for a moment. Go back to your wonder state. But what if we can take time to improve this now? And it's like, don't let the whole, I don't have time. And no. What if you can go back and improve those things, those tweaks? How much better will it be? So it's almost like you need to bring yourself back at the debrief and really like end with that like excitement again for business, because if not, it could be a downer, right?
It can
It
be.
could be a downer.
And
Yeah.
we hear that so much, right? We hear a lot, I don't have time. I don't have time. Even just setting up 17 hats, I don't have time. I don't have time. And I'm like, man, but like if you did have time, right? The amount of time you would save, the amount of money you would make, the ways your business would grow, the avenues that would open up for you. But yeah, we just get stuck in almost this flight or fight situation of I don't have time. And I love that you're like, bring this back around to the wonder. And I feel like it almost takes you to another level of like resetting yourself.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's a reset. So I always share like I have these key questions at the very end. It has to start with positivity. So I always start with like, give me my wins of that project, or give me that win of engaging with that client. So and you sometimes you have to search hard because you're like, I don't have a win, but you're really forcing yourself to be like think positive and have like a really excited feeling about the debrief. Then you have the key questions that again the mood goes up and down because they could be some tough questions. But at the end, again, you bring it back to like, okay, but I'm either going to improve this because what if I could, because you can, you're in wonder, or that's when you have to be so good to yourself and be graceful and say, like, I have to release that. It just didn't work and it's not serving me or the client. And so again, even at that end where you're talking about release, which may seem negative, it actually isn't, because you're giving yourself permission. You're giving yourself permission to release that and then move forward, which is so important. Yeah.
That's amazing. There's so much gold in all of this. Like, I hope whoever's listening to this, if you're listening, you like listen to this twice and let this debrief on this. Let's put it that way. Debrief on this. Because there's so much gold here as far as building your business for longevity, right? I truly believe that nobody goes into business for it to be, not in business in a year or 3 years. But a lot of times we don't do the things that need to be done to make sure our business lasts 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years, which is, one of the reasons why we're doing these episodes. I love this idea of wonder. I love this idea of debriefing, because even from the beginning, right? You have a call with a client. The call went well. Why did it go well? Right? How could it go even better? Or you gave a client, you did a service for the client, and at the end, the client's like, I'm unhappy, I'm mad. So many people just like write that off and be like, oh, that's just that person, right? Like that person is just mad. But to not do that and to go back for 5 minutes and talk to yourself about, why is this person mad, and is it a legitimate thing? What could I have done to make sure that this didn't happen, right? And we hear this a lot of like, well, people don't read. Well, we're talking about emails, right? People don't read. I don't want to send emails. Well, why do people don't read? Are you talking above what they understand? Are your emails too long? Are you phrasing things in ways that they can't? Like there's so much things, instead of just saying people don't read or this client was unhappy, to come back to it, sit with it, figure out the why and make the changes. That's what sets you up for success.
And I'm going to share a business tip here that I think is so important. When you are brave enough, because I'm going to say we have to throw bravery into that because not everybody wants to get the feedback, okay? But when you're brave enough to do this and it becomes now consistently part of your process. So I know, Amanda and I are process junkies. We're driven by process, okay? But if it becomes, okay, it's part of my process to get that feedback, to ask for that, that kind of review or survey or testimonial, depending on what type of business you're in, right? But when it becomes part of a process, number one, it now just becomes a step that you can put in your 17 hats, right? So it gets done automatically. You don't have to think about it. But also, here is the thing. Sometimes we take that feedback so personally, but they may come back getting that nice message. I just wanted to check in and see, why did you, I saw that you graded me a 4 from a 10. Ouch, let me do things better for you. And then they come back and they're like, you know what? I was just having such a bad day. Like, I've had people just come back and say, you know what? I'm sorry. I don't even know why I gave you that feedback, or they'll say, I expected this. I got that. And then I will come back and ask myself, were their expectations right? Did I promise this, but I only gave them half of what I promised? Like, the only way I'm going to hear that is if I ask for it, right? So,
I mean, the majority of our issues in business is a communication issue.
yes.
Right? We didn't communicate the value, right? This is price shock. We have not communicated the value in our marketing, right? People didn't show up on time. Well, we have not communicated that in a way, right? Whether it was, where to park, heavy traffic, there are all sorts of stuff that just people don't think about. But there's so much that can be, relieved in business by just better, clearer, more concise communication, right? And to be able to figure out where the communication is lacking is huge. And that only comes from experience, right? Like, you're not going to get communication perfect the first go around, nor the second. It just comes from experience and it comes from listening to your clients.
And practice. And I say that in my heart, like right now, my heart just kind of felt like it got a tug because I think our generation, Amanda, like, we've been practicing, we understand the importance of communication. We're going to go develop that. I think the younger generation is really going to struggle with it. They're going to extremely struggle with it. And so they're going to have to work on it so much more because they are so disconnected. And if they join the business world, they're going to have to really develop that skill as we have for so many years.
100. I mean, my
So,
daughter is 12, so she'll be 13 in February. And communication is a skill that I am consistently working on her.
wonderful.
Because I'm a little concerned. I feel like my grandfather when I'm like, this next generation, yeah, but it is a skill, it even like public speaking and standing up in front of people and anyways, that's a whole nother episode.
Yes, it is.
True, you have to practice it and you have to practice wearing that hat per se, right, of communication. With that being said, how has 17 Hats helped you along this journey? You've been with us since the beginning. You've seen us grow. You've seen us go through hard times and good times, and you've seen all of it. How have we helped you through this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Again, I love the question because I expected we were going to talk a little bit about this, but it may not be the exact answer you were thinking about because the way I see 17 Hats, I feel like 17 Hats has always been a partner, and I want to see what my partner's doing. And so y'all have always been pretty open about like your ebbs and your flows and where you're going. I've seen y'all like test things and then like either go all in or pull out. And when I have partners like yours, like you, like this type of company, it really gives the entrepreneur, like at a smaller scale, like hope, right? Because if you're still here, then we can like be champions together. We can like champion each other. And so, because there's other companies that are not here. Right. And I worked a lot in accounting in the startup world. And sadly, many of them didn't survive the 5 to 7 years. And so, and that is disheartening for me because I'm like, if they have all the funding or the capital and I don't, like, how am I going to survive the statistics? So for me, 17 Hats has been like a really good kind of like anchor for me because it's a company I've used for going on 11 years now, 10 years, right? I don't really can say that for that. I think I only have 3 programs or companies that I've used for over a decade, and you're one of them. So,
That's amazing.
um,
I love that.
yeah. Yeah. So that's what it's done for me for sure, is just anchored me to say, stay in business, Mariette. You have a partner. They're still
We're
here.
here. We're doing this together.
They're
I think
doing it with me. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I think people don't realize how rare it is for a tech company too, which is why we're kind of doing this is most tech companies don't get to where we're at, right? With the not only the longevity that we're at, I'm gonna brag a little bit. It's unlike me, but the longevity where we're at, but the amount of users that are actually using the platform, the amount of members that are using the platform, which is really unheard of. Anytime I give those stats to people, people are like, "Oh my gosh, you have that many people actually logging in every day or actually sending invoices or like actually doing it?" And I'm like, yes. And they're like,
And by the way, I
whoa.
think you need to brag more. And I know that's not in your character, but I'm going to just stop you just for a moment to let you know the bragging is inspiring
Oh, I
because,
appreciate that.
yeah.
I appreciate that. It's so out of character for us because we're not that like flat. We don't do flashy marketing. We don't do, smoke and mirror type stuff. Or it's just yeah. See how weird I'm getting about it. We just don't do it.
Okay, let us brag for you then, because you may want to brag at the fact that you have probably the best ambassador program on the planet. So you can
Have
brag about that.
killer ambassador program.
Yes, you do.
Killer.
Yes, you do.
But yeah, I mean, people don't realize that it's very few companies that have gotten this far. And I love where we're positioned right now. I love how we're so just stable and moving and grooving and growing and pushing forward and really like all in on our mission and our journey with our ambassadors too. Like we have this group of I don't even know how many of you guys. I mean, several
I
hundred.
think we're over 200 now. And and
Cute.
not only 200 passive, like 200
You
active,
guys are
like
so active. Like
very active.
I get so much energy from y'all when I come to the meetings. Everybody's like, you should hand the ambassador program off to somebody else. I'm like, I can't because I love them and I get so much energy from them. I need them in my life. But yeah, I love it that we've been that partner for you and like I think you guys have done the same for us. Y'all have carried us every time, we're like, oh, like gut punch of something, whatever it is, we're just reminded of you guys, right? Of all of our members. And this is the reason why we're doing it. And this is the reason why we wake up every morning to serve is we get so much joy out of all of you succeeding. Right. And being able to be that partner with you through this whole time and, obviously continuing on. So that's
And it's
tremendously
obvious. And I'll
exciting.
just share it's obvious because I've seen different ways for you to support us, right? For a while, you were doing like a lot of webinars, and then you brought in the podcast, and then you brought in the ambassadorship program. And then, you're constantly, improving the software and letting us know what's going on with the software. That is really not common for a program or a tech company. So I personally value that. That's why I call you a partner. Of course, I use other programs. I don't call those programs partners, right? But I call your company a partner. And that's really how you've all have helped me for 10 plus years.
I love it. That makes my heart so happy. It makes my heart so happy. Question for you. I want to talk a little bit about, I have 2 more questions before we wrap this up. And I just have like a few minutes left too. So we're going to go through this really quickly. 1,
Yep.
mindset. What is the mindset that people have to be in for longevity?
Oh, okay, sure. So rocket fire, the longevity or for the long term. I just think that you need to build the skills to create consistency. And mindset is really driven by skill set. And that skill set is usually goal driven, right? So building the goals, building the good habits, and doing that over and over and over again. That's what longevity is. And so I would just say being open to building better habits if we need to build those in ourselves, if we don't necessarily have them, being open to learn them if you don't have them, and then consistently building into them every day.
Amazing. Last question for you. For anybody who is looking like this is their first year, second year in business, right? What is the advice that you can give them marching forward?
Oh gosh, hands down, don't do this by yourself. Find a community, find a mastermind, a network, whether it's online through social media, whether you have to pay $25 a month. Do not do this alone. There is so much great information out there with communities that are going to embrace you and love you and elevate you. So yeah, there's no need to do business alone. Maybe 20, 30 years ago, not anymore.
I love that.
Not anymore.
Thank you so much for joining me. If somebody wants to dive in to learn more about you, where can they find you?
They can find me at masteryourbooks.com.
Well, I so appreciate you being here with me, sharing your wisdom. You give so much from the podcast episode that you are on with us. Every time I chat with you, you give from your heart. You just lay it out for people, which I absolutely love. So I appreciate you so much. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being on here. And of course, thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a 17 Hats member and a 17 Hats ambassador. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And for everybody else watching, until next time, bye guys.